Hello everyone. In the continuation of discussing literary terms, let's begin today with the topic epigram. Epigram is a statement, a kind of statement, whether in prose or verse. It means it can be used in both, in verse and prose, which is terse, pointed, and witty. So these are the qualities that we generally perceive in epigram, which is used in both prose and verse according to the context. The qualities that we have to find are terse, pointed, and witty. This particular term epigram started being applied after 18th century, and so we talked about the qualities of epigram. Now let's talk about the subject on which epigrams are written, either in prose or in verse, on any subject and in any mode. See, so it has a large canvas on which it can be drawn. Means this epigram can be used for any kind of subject or for any kind of mode, in any kind of mode. We are discussing Epigram. So what Epigram says regarding the subjects or the modes, let's talk about that. He says that it can be amatory, it can be elegiac, meditative, complimentary, or satiric. What is amatory? Amatory means erotic, and erotic, means generally what we perceive. Actually, sometimes when we talk of Shringara Rasa, it is translated as erotic, but of course erotic is not the correct substitute for Shringara that we have in Sanskrit or Hindi. But here we have to talk of amatory mode or the subject that is erotic. That means expressing sexual love. So it's all about the depiction of physical love. It can be elegiac, you understand, made by elegy, and elegy you know very well. It's a kind of poetry that is written for the lamentation or for mourning, for the dead ones or the departed ones, for the lost ones, for the lost things, something that we have lost, some persons that we have lost. This can be due to their death or departure. Either can be the case. Meditative, as you understand, meditation, so talks of deep thinking. So sometimes we can perceive deep thinking as well in epigrams. Complimentary, as we know, something used for the compliment. See, complimentary can be taken as something being used as compliment, or it can be taken as something which is therefore completing something else. As we know that man and woman are complementary to each other in this world of humans. So that is also one complementary. So anecdotal, it's a very beautiful word. It is made by the word anecdote. Do you understand the meaning of anecdote? Anecdote is something relating to funny events. And most often, and that is very very important in epigram, and that's why I have written this only subject or mod with red pen, and that is satiric. So it can be, epigram can be amatory, elegiac, meditative, complimentary, or satiric. And satiric is the thing that is mostly used. Enduring model for the caustically satiric epigram in verse established by Martial, Martial, the Roman epigrammatist. So we have to talk about Martial. Martial is, of course, the name of the poet, the Roman poet, the Roman epigrammatist. It was he who started enduring model for the caustically satiric epigram. Caustically, you understand? Caustically means very harsh and critical. Generally, when we talk of satire, satire is generally, not very soothing kind of thing. It hurts. So generally, when burning things are there, discussions are there through satire, so that makes someone feel uncomfortable. But here is a person, Martial, who started an enduring model, means the satire, by listening, after listening which one cannot be that much uncomfortable, means one can feel comfort, means enduring model for the caustically satiric epigram in verse. So he gave a new beginning for by introducing enduring model for the caustically satiric epigram in verse, and it was Martial, the Roman epigrammatist. This is how, as we say in Hindi, सांप भी मर जाए और लाठी भी न टूटे. So that kind of beginning was done by Martial. When we talk of other verse epigrammatists in 16th and 17th century, we can talk of the poets like John Donne, the father of metaphysical poetry. Johnson, Jonson, so it means Ben Jonson, the person, the poet, poet and dramatist, who is mostly famous for his comedy of humors, and who was the great, you can say, competitor of William Shakespeare in 16th century. Robert Herrick, Robert Herrick, Robert Herrick. Matthew Prior, Matthew Prior, Matthew Prior. Then Alexander Pope, we cannot forget him. Lady Mary Wortley, Lady Mary, Mary Wortley, Wortley. Let's talk of some of the examples that we find in literature. Here we are having one epigrammatist named John Byrom, Byrom. Don't be confused with Lord Byron. No, this is John Byrom, John Byrom. What does he write? Just see carefully. God bless the king. I mean the faith's defender. See, marks of exclamation is there after faith's defender. That also connotes a meaning, a different meaning. God bless the king, I mean the faith's defender. God bless. And then within bracket we are having No harm in blessing. Bracket closed. The pretender. God bless the king, I mean the faith's defender. God bless the pretender. So it means the person, the king, for whom we perceive that he is defender. In fact, he is pretender. He pretends to be defender. That he wants to convey through this epigram, a kind of satire that we perceive here. See, when this kind of bracket is being used, I told you earlier also that this bracket in literature is a device, and it is known as parenthesis. Parenthesis. Parenthesis is a device that is mostly used by Charles Lamb in his personal essays. When you read essays of Elia, you'll find this particular device being used by the prince of essayists, none other than Charles Lamb. So I think it's clear that how satire is there in this epigram by John Byrom. Let's talk of another use of wit in the epigram being used, being written by S.T. Coleridge in his On a Volunteer Singer. That is the name of his poem, where he writes, "Swans sing before they die. It were no bad thing. Should certain people die before they sing?" Swans sing before they die. It were no bad thing. Should certain people die before they sing? Now you can get to different interpretations with this witty use of rhymes, as well as the depiction, the kind of metaphor that is being used by Coleridge. And the marks of exclamation that is being used here can provide you different meanings of yours. When we talk of other epigrammatists from different corners of the world, one famous epigrammatist that we have is Walter Savage Landor, Walter Walter Savage, Savage, Landor, Landor. His lifespan is in between 1775 to 1864. Then from France we have poets like Boileau and Voltaire. Don't be confused with the name of with the spellings of the names. Boileau, Boileau, as we have Rousseau. Similarly, we are having Boileau, Boileau. Voltaire, Voltaire, Voltaire. These both are from France. Then from Germany we have Lessing, Lessing, Lessing. Then Schiller, Schiller. Then Goethe, 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 the German poet. From America we have the epigrammatists like Ralph Waldo Emerson, Emily Dickinson, and Robert Frost. You know, the name of Robert Frost was named after the famous Scottish poet Robert Burns, from whose country Robert Frost's mother belonged. See, as we talked of epigram, there is another word called Apothegm. 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 That is an alternative name for prose epigram. So, while talking of epigram, we cannot forget this apothegm, which is an alternative name for prose epigram. See, this does not include verse in it. But interestingly, while talking of epigram, we cannot forget this term, euphemism. 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 See, I have written the phonetic description, the pronunciation also before the spelling of euphemism. Euphemism. Before talking of euphemism, let's talk about one quotation that I found while talking of epigram, and this is the quotation by Austin Dobson, AUSTIN Austin Dobson. What does he say? He describes 18th century like, and I quote, of wit, of polish, and of pope. So think about it. As we know, Shakespeare is a very famous personality in English literature, and that is why the period before the birth of Shakespeare is known as pre-Shakespearean period. The period of Shakespeare is known as Shakespearean period, and the period after Shakespeare is known as post-Shakespearean period. But Shakespeare was not the only person on whose name the name of ages were, decided. We have different other famous personalities as well, like Alexander Pope we are having, about whom Austin Dobson is saying that he's talking of 18th century, and he says that it's the age of wit, of polish, and of pope. So see how wit was very much prevailing there, and how pope was synonymous for that age, 18th century. Okay, return to the next term or the device, euphemism. It's very interesting to be acquainted with such devices in literature. An inoffensive expression used in place of blunt one that is felt to be disagreeable or embarrassing. See, I have used a red color pen for these words: inoffensive, disagreeable, or embarrassing. So you'll have to remember just these three words through which you can remember this whole device. Euphemism means inoffensive expression. So this is the way of saying some offensive thing in an inoffensive manner. Once again, you can apply this phrase or the proverb of Hindi, "Saap bhi mar jaye, lathi bhi na toote," means one has to use such language that one can say something blunt, something not blunt, something offensive, but in an inoffensive manner. So inoffensive expression used in place of blunt one. So blunt language is not used, blunt expression is not to be used there, because when we say something in a blunt manner, that is somehow disagreeable or embarrassing. Sometimes we have to say something publicly, we want to convey the truth, but we don't want to use such words which can offend others. Sometimes we feel that truth is to be conveyed, but at the same time we don't want to convey in that manner which can be offensive for other people who are present there. So in that situation, even this euphemism is also very useful in our day-to-day life as well, while talking to our near and dear ones, while being formal. This can be very well understood through the examples that I have found from different sources, some from Merriam-Webster, some from Oxford Dictionary, and some from M.H. Abrams. See, when we have to say kill, so in spite of saying kill, when we say eliminate, instead of using die, we say pass away. Instead of using the word toilet, we use the word comfort station. Nowadays, in our context, we use the word washroom for this particular noun, toilet. We don't we feel embarrassed while saying toilet, so we say washroom. But here that the word, different phrase that we are having for toilet is comfort station. And then the most used euphemism in this modern culture or day-to-day life, I should not say modern culture, this is something that exists since time immemorial. So we say to sleep with, and this is used for to have sexual intercourse with. So means when a person is having sexual relation with someone, we say that he or she is sleeping with that person. Sleeping with. Then for prison camps, the euphemism that is used is retraining centers. Retraining centers. As we talked of sexual euphemism earlier, the example to sleep with. Here we are having one person who has worked on sexual euphemism present in Shakespeare, and the name of the person is Eric Partridge. E-R-I-C, Eric Partridge, P-A-T-R-I-D-G-E, and the work that he has done on Shakespeare is known as Shakespeare's Body. Shakespeare, Shakespeare, apostrophe S, Body, B-A-W-D-Y, and it was published in 1960. We'll talk of this euphemism, that is another word. One becomes confused with this euphemism and euphemism. So euphemism is something different. We'll talk about it. It is E-U-P-H-U-I-S-M. So don't be confused in between euphemism and euphemism. Euphemism, as the pronunciation is written in the phonetic alphabets there before the word. Something of concern of us that we try to find out, and I have found it from Google, the difference that we have to understand in between this aphorism and epigram that we were discussing earlier. They both reflect some truth about life. An aphorism is a short, witty statement that usually reflects some truth about life. So truth is being focused here. In aphorism, this is of course this is witty statement, but here we talk of some truth about life. Aphorisms are similar to proverbs. Of course they are not proverbs, but they are similar to proverbs. But when we talk of an epigram is a short poem. See here, Google is making this epigram very limited while saying it's a short poem. Of course, it's not only used in poem, it is also used in prose, but here that we are having an epigram is a short poem that also expresses some truth, but it might have a sarcastic or humorous tone. So this is the difference. The difference of tone is there. Sarcastic or humorous tone is there, and that is called epigram. Otherwise, aphorism is the word that is being used for that. Thanks for today. We stop here.